We're going to be reading Luke's Gospel together as a church, and we're going to be doing that using the 5 R's as a method. Sarah, the 5 R's is what AFES has been using for a long time on university campuses. You've used them a lot with a lot of students. You're going to explain them to us in a moment, and then we're going to actually practice using them on a passage. Luke chapter 4, verse 31 to 37. Sarah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the 5 R's and how they help me to focus on Jesus, seeing him as fully God and fully human as he teaches, as he interacts with people, and as he works to fulfill his mission of salvation. At university, we get students to use the 5 R's when they're reading a gospel with someone who doesn't know Jesus yet, or with someone who's never read the Bible before. So they're designed to be really easy for anyone to use and to really point us to Jesus. So here are the 5 R's: retell, react, reveal, reason, and respond. So we want to retell the narrative. We want to see how people react to Jesus in the narrative. We want to see what's revealed about Jesus in the narrative. We want to think about what reason did Luke have for including this narrative. And we want to think about how will I respond to Jesus from this narrative. So you can use the 5 R's on your own. You could use them over the phone with a friend or with your family. You might find that not all 5 R's apply to every passage. So example, if you're reading some of Jesus' teaching, there may not be any reactions to look at.
So let's see how this works. The Bible reading is Luke chapter 4, verse 31 to 37. Then he went down to Capernaum, a town in Galilee, and on the Sabbath he taught the people. They were amazed at his teaching, because his words had authority. In the synagogue there was a man possessed by a demon, an impure spirit. He cried out at the top of his voice, "Go away! What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," Jesus said sternly. "Come out of him." Then the demon threw the man down before them all and came out without injuring him. All the people were amazed and said to each other, "What words these are? With authority and power he gives orders to impure spirits, and they come out." And the news about him spread throughout the surrounding area.
The first R is retell. Retell or summarize the narrative. This is also the time to ask if there are any bits that are unclear or confusing in the narrative for you.
The first R is retell. Sarah, can you retell the narrative for us?
Yeah, so we've got Jesus teaching in the synagogue on the Sabbath, and some people are amazed. And then there's a guy with a demon who starts yelling some stuff at Jesus and tells him to go away. But Jesus tells him to get out, and so the demon leaves, and all the people are amazed again.
Yeah, great. Are there any parts that are unclear or confusing?
It doesn't seem too confusing yet. Second R is react. How are different people in the narrative reacting to Jesus? A little spoiler alert, noticing how people react and interact will help you in the next R. So how are different people reacting to Jesus here?
Yeah, so there's a few different reactions. At the start, he's teaching in the synagogue, and they're amazed because of his teaching in 32. His words seem to have authority. And then a demon comes up to him and he's crying out in a loud voice and telling him to go away. So he's sort of kind of angry and scared and shocked about who Jesus is. After Jesus tells him sternly, the demon leaves and the guy's okay and stands back up, and everyone's amazed again. And they say to each other in 36 what words these are. And then the news just spreads. And so they can't stop talking about Jesus either.
The third R is reveal. What is revealed about Jesus here, both through words and actions? And this can be both through the words and actions of Jesus, but also others in the narrative.
So what's revealed about Jesus here?
Yeah, so we've got in verse 32 that his words have got authority. And then verse 34, so we've got the demon who seems to recognize that Jesus has power as he asks, "What's Jesus going to do? Are you going to destroy us?" And he calls him the Holy One of God. So that seems like a pretty important title and tells us something about Jesus being holy and from God. In terms of actions, we see that Jesus tells the demon to get out, and the demon gets out. So clearly he's got the power to back up his words as well. Yeah, and we see that again in the words of the people as they say, he's got authority and power to cast out impure spirits and they come out. The fourth R is reason. What reason do you think Luke had for including this passage in the narrative? The question can sometimes be tricky to answer, but it's really important to make sure that we're reading in context and to make sure that we're trying to understand what the author and what God wants us to get from this passage rather than just what we think. So what reason do you think Luke had for including this narrative?
I think it shows us Jesus' authority and power. So right at the start of Luke, it says why he's writing. It's so his friend Theophilus can have an orderly account so that he can believe in who Jesus is. So quite early on, what Theophilus needs to understand about Jesus is he's powerful. Look at what he's just done to this demon. And he has authority in both what he says and what he does as well.
The fifth R is respond. How will I respond to what this passage uncovers about Jesus? We want to make sure that we're applying what we learn about Jesus to our lives. And this can be to our head, to our hearts, or to our hands, depending on the passage.
How will I respond to what we learn about Jesus in this passage?
Yeah, so I think we need to trust Jesus. He's the Holy One of God who has authority. And so we can trust him and we don't need to fear demons or impure spirits. We also see that his words have authority, so we should listen to his teaching. We also see that Jesus is really powerful, so even the demons scared of him. So we want to have a right reverence and fear of Jesus. He loves us, but he's not just warm and cuddly all the time. We need to fear him and obey him.
That's the end of our little demo. We hope that you're really excited to read Luke's Gospel and use the 5 R's with us.